If things had played out differently, the star actor from House of Cards could dominate the role of Sherlock Holmes like no one else did. All in all, he had only appeared in 2 films about the British detective, but did you know that there was actually a 3rd script in the works? And the story behind it is filled with drama, lawsuits, TV deals, rivalry, and more. You won't believe how it all went down, so stick around and let's dive into this fascinating untold chapter of the life of Ian Richardson.
He told me he was that detective fellow, Sherlock Holmes.
A pretty while ago I made my historical video comparison of the top 9 actors who had tried their luck in putting on the deerstalker hat and lighting up the pipe. Basil Rathbone, Jeremy Brett, Robert Downey Jr., Benedict Cumberbatch and many others were featured there. Yet curiously, the hero of this special episode, the actor Ian Richardson, didn't appear in the script.
Now, what possible wrong can it refer to?
At the same time, his unique take on the character of the great detective had all the chances to end up not just a one-off, but a fan favorite, if only he wasn't robbed of the opportunity to play him more. Here is what happened. Many of you may best remember Richardson from the iconic BBC series House of Cards. Well, no, it's not the rather recent US version with Kevin Spacey, which in fact was a remake of the original British miniseries from the early 1990s. And that's where Ian Richardson played the key part, for which he won a BAFTA award for Best Actor.
Even the longest, the most glittering reign must come to an end someday.
Before that, Richardson, born in 1934 in Scotland, had an immensely successful career on stage in England. Boldly called one of the greatest Shakespearean actors, he played a long line of leading roles in classical theatre, from Hamlet to Richard II to Richard III. Apart from theatre, Richardson made multiple appearances on screen and TV, mostly in Britain, and thanks to his talent, presence, looks and voice, he could be easily considered a perfect candidate for the role of the new Holmes. Would you agree? Well, soon this opportunity came about.
Fire! Holmes! 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 Fire!
Like many of your deductions, Watson, wrong.
Back in the early 1980s, Cy Weintraub, an American producer best known for his series of Tarzan films, made a massive investment in the Sherlock Holmes universe. His Mapleton Films production paid a hefty sum to the Doyle estate, securing the rights to all 60 of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's original stories. His plan? To create a series of anywhere from 6 to 30 films, reimagining Holmes for a new generation. An ambitious move, right? Well, Weintraub was apparently pretty sure of the success of this deal, since he already had his perfect Sherlock in mind. No one else but Ian Richardson.
Your facts are correct in every particular. How could you possibly guess?
I never guess. It is destructive to logic.
The first 2 TV films, The Sign of the Four and The Hound of the Baskervilles, were delivered one after another as hot pies in 1983. The films were welcomed with rather a warm critique. Not only Sherlock was accepted as a convincing one, but also his sidekick Watson was particularly admired in The Sign of the Four. So, no wonder the 3rd script, The Prince of Crime, was already written and the production was about to start.
The game's afoot, Watson.
Little did the producer and the actors know that at that moment, Weintraub's entire production was already about to crumble beneath his feet. There was a fly in their ointment, as Ian Richardson had put it himself. So, what exactly happened there? Let's uncover the mystery. Remember one of Miss Marple's mottos? Don't be too quick to jump to conclusions. Or let's paraphrase it for the sake of this case. Don't be too quick to invest tons of money before you've done your homework. Cy Weintraub, an American producer who bought the rights for the entire Sherlock body of stories, wasn't apparently following this rule, since there was one yet hugely important detail he and his team of lawyers missed in the deal: the fact that these stories were about to enter the public domain in the UK. Oops, that's harsh. But wait, there is more. Around the same time, Granada Films announced their own massive television series, planning to adapt all the Holmes stories for both the UK and the US markets.
I suppose it's all rather hopeless now.
Really? And your reason for despair?
Realizing he had paid big money for what would soon be free, in other words, for nothing, Weintraub went mad. His American monopoly was slipping away, so he tried to do at least something, and decided to team up with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's daughter, Dame Jean, and launch a legal battle against Granada.
This mystery gets darker every minute.
On the contrary, old fellow, it clears every instant.
Yeah, sounds doubtful. Do you guess what went down next? Actually, there was a seed of sanity in this action. So, here is the twist. While many Sherlock Holmes stories were indeed entering the public domain, the very characters of Holmes and Watson were still under copyright. It may be difficult to understand, yet apparently, since not all stories were copyright-free, the main characters were automatically protected too. And that was Mapleton Films and the author's daughter's argument in court, which, good for them, wasn't so pointless.
Madam, I promise you as much discretion as the matter may permit, but your answer is of vital importance and may make the difference between life and death.
As a result, Weintraub reached an agreement with Granada to settle the case out of court. According to the words of our Sherlock, Ian Richardson, the settlement was for an extraordinary sum, around £2 million. Enough to cover the costs for the Sign of the Four and the Hound of the Baskervilles, with a profit on top.
Well, for once, Leighton is right. A most satisfactory end indeed.
In addition, Granada agreed to put their production on hold for 2 years, which allowed Weintraub to squeeze every profit from his 2 films to the fullest.
Only an amiable man receives testimonials, only an unambitious one prefers the country to a London career, and only an absent-minded one would leave his walking stick and not his visiting card. Dr. Mortimer, your stick.
Despite having failed to excite program buyers when they were shown at Cannes in 1982, the 2 Ian Richardson films made their US TV debut on HBO in November and December of 1983. In the UK, they were shut away in the ITV vaults until 1986, by which time the Granada series had firmly established their cast as television's Holmes and Watson. Alas, the plans for the 3rd film with Richardson were obviously cancelled too, so he never got the chance to continue his development of Sherlock's character.
I can see no connection.
Very likely not. But I can quickly give you a close connection. Here are the missing links in the very simple chain.
If Granada hadn't capitalized on the copyright expiration, Richardson might have gone on to star in a dozen or more Sherlock Holmes films and be remembered today as one of the greatest actors to ever portray the iconic detective.
The Curse of the Baskervilles is a figment of the imagination.
But without the imagination, Watson, there would be no horror.
Oh, wait a minute. Richardson did return once to the Holmes universe in the TV series Murder Rooms, The Dark Beginnings of Sherlock Holmes. He took on the role of Dr. Joseph Bell, the real-life figure who inspired Sherlock Holmes, with Arthur Conan Doyle portrayed as his assistant. You may learn more about this real-life prototype of Sherlock in my dedicated video.
Holmes? You all right, old man?
Meanwhile, Richardson's follower in the new Granada production, the legendary Jeremy Brett, who became, in my eyes, the best Holmes ever, still spoke highly of his British colleague. He got a coolness which I thought was marvelous, like an electric eel.
Weren't exactly sympathetic.
He doesn't come to me for sympathy.
So, what a curious coincidence, right? On the one hand, we never had a chance to see what would come out of Ian Richardson's Sherlock, whose Hound of the Baskervilles is often considered to be the canonical version of the story. On the other hand, imagine Granada turned down the idea of battling for the series due to the character's copyright, and we would have never known and enjoyed Sherlock's unparalleled portrayal by Jeremy Brett. What a misfortune, for sure! And what would you say? Thank you for being with me tonight. Hope to see you in many other videos on my channel. Enjoy your day. Bye!